Hey everyone, you're listening to 4Player Podcast, a weekly live show about video games. We hope you'll stick around for another year of gaming discussion, fantasy critic hijinks, and of course, general shenanigans here at 4Player. Before we start this episode, we want to send a thank you out to everyone who listens and give a quick welcome to any newbies. I'll try to keep this short because this is, and always will be, an ad-free show. We've been at this since 2008, so if you like what we do, please subscribe and leave a review on your preferred podcast service. Join us in our Discord at discord.gg/4player, or, if you're so inclined, throw us a couple bucks a month on Patreon. We record these episodes live every Tuesday night on twitch.tv/4playerpodcast, all spelled out, and episodes hit podcast services on Friday morning. You can find all the links you need at 4playernetwork.com. But enough about that, let's get started. Alright, hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode, well, according to the title, it's 8:31. Is it 8:31, Chris Davis, or did you goof?
It's supposed to be 8:32.
It is 8:32. It says 8:31. I'm just saying. Welcome to episode 832. It is April 29th, 2025. I'm your host, Nick Henderson, and of course, I'm joined by Brad Simons. Who you may notice sounds a little deeper than usual. He has a cold. Also joining us is Crispy. Hello, Crispy.
Hello.
How's it going?
Okay, my right eye doesn't close all the way.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird day.
Weird day.
Us here in
the doctor said if it doesn't get, if I can't keep my eye closed while I'm sleeping, I'm gonna have to tape it shut. So
I told Robin, she was like, "Oh my god, that sounds horrifying."
You already do the mouth tape, right? So you could just use some.
Like the Sigma grind set mouth tape thing that they all do.
You should get an eye patch. This is your chance. Get an eye patch.
I was thinking about that. I was like, do I still have that fucking Majima eye patch?
You could rock an eye patch, I bet.
Yeah, of course you could. And of course, Chris Davis is also joining us. Hello, Chris Davis.
I'm also here. Good evening.
How do mustachioed men use the mouth tape?
Is that a real question? I don't.
Yeah.
I think they get rid of the mustachio. I don't think you can be Sigma and have a mustache.
Fair.
Hey, so we didn't record a show last week, right?
We did a trailer talk vibe.
We did.
I think.
Yeah,
that's right. We just did kind of a chill, vibing trailer talk night last week. So once again, it's been 2 weeks since our last recording. So thank you to everyone who's joining us live on twitch.tv/4playerpodcast on Tuesday night when we record these. And typically we do this weekly, but it's been kind of sporadic lately, so I do apologize about that. But a lot has happened. A lot has transpired since our last recording. Not only did Bethesda announce and shadow drop a remaster, quote unquote, of Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which I don't think we're going to talk about tonight, but I imagine we'll talk about eventually. It's a big deal one way or the other. I just wanted to make sure we mention it because it's a big deal. But
to play because I heard it was running like shit.
Really? I mean,
yeah, I heard it wasn't well optimized, so I was like, I'm not gonna bother.
Well,
it
like
was
all
running
Bethesda
okay
games, well optimized.
It was running okay on my PC, but it was the only game I've ever started on this computer that, like, when it booted up, my graphics card just like kicked into overdrive, like it was taking off, like.
It's boy, here we go. Like 120 gigs, and I was like, "Fuck off."
Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure we mention that. Well, I'm sure you'll hear us talk about it at some point on this podcast, but it may not be tonight. I do also want to mention though that maybe we can talk about it right now, just as a kicking off point here. But Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders happened last week, and it was chaos. But I think
it was.
Okay,
everybody
so here's
got one though. They wanted one.
Everybody who wanted one got one. It sounds like, but I don't know.
Chris Davis got two.
Chris Davis got two. Crispy, did you get one?
This motherfucker hates Nintendo with a passion, and he got two.
If Chris Davis will sell me one of his two for $200, then I'll have one, and that's the only scenario in which I'll have a Switch 2.
We can talk. We can talk.
Oh, look, good guy, Chris Davis, looking
this
out.
Guy.
But yeah, it was chaotic. I did not.
People were scared.
I was very much like, because like the launch title, obviously the big launch title is Mario Kart world, which I am excited about, but like it's not Metroid, it's not Zelda. I mean, here's the thing: it's one of those things where it's like, if I was gonna get as a launch title, it sounds great. Like it sounds like a fun launch title. We don't always like console launches don't always hit with like a Super Mario or a Zelda. You know what I mean? It's like Mario Kart. Yeah, and it's like as a Mario Kart game, it is maybe the most interesting looking Mario Kart game they've ever done. I don't think that's debatable, right? I mean, it's
the most fresh iteration since probably Double Dash.
Yeah, they could have made
any of them. I mean, it's been the same fucking formula the whole time.
It's like it's like if they launched it with a Pokemon game and suddenly they had like completely reinvented Pokemon after years and years, after we've been begging them for decades to like change up Pokemon. They did with Arceus.
Yeah.
Right.
And it did not go
well.
well.
If Arceus had been a launch title, it would have been huge, right?
Did go well. Arceus
it sold very well because it's a fucking Pokemon game, but it performed like shit.
No, people liked Arceus. What is all the... Y'all all saying crazy
system performance wise is what I mean. Not
Look,
sales wise.
I'm saying...
They all run like shit.
All I'm saying is...
it's a handheld
if Arceus had been a launch title for a Nintendo platform, it would have been exciting. It would have been for, the reasons we just talked about.
They're literally coming out with a new one this year for the Switch too.
That is true. That is true.
Pre-order night was rough. I was able to get one through Walmart because props to Walmart because they have like a queue system when it comes to this shit. So you log into the website, it'll put you in an automatic queue, and then you get 10 minutes to check out when it's returned.
I mean, it's sort of
until it kicks you from the website.
Target absolutely
like it was breaking for a lot of people.
Walmart, but it wasn't best. Target was shit in the bed across the board.
Well, Target doesn't do a queue system. I got one from Target like right away.
I had everything pulled up. I had Best Buy, Walmart, and Target. I didn't even bother with GameStop. And believe it or not, Target was the one I managed to actually score. I kept getting booted from Best Buy's queue. I kept getting booted from Walmart's queue. I don't know what the fuck was going on. And Target was a hot mess. I logged on at 11 because that's when they were starting to go on sale, right? And I was very much kind of like, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think I'm going to get a pre-order tonight. It's probably going to be horse shit. And I was like, how bad do I even really want one at launch? I want one for Metroid, but like, who knows how difficult it's going to be to get after it actually launches. So like, maybe if I can snag one for a pre-order, that would just save me the headache.
So I was like, with the FOMO. They got you with the FOMO.
I'm in the same boat as Brad. I want to play Metroid, and I don't want to play it on a Switch 1. And it's not going to be long. So
okay, like first of all, Donkey Kong looks sick as fuck.
It does. It does look sick as shit. It does look sick as shit. But like, let's be real, guys. We all have our fucking eyeballs on Metroid here, anyways. Like,
I have them on DK.
I mean, I have it on DK too. I'll play DK.
Well, Metroid doesn't have a date yet.
I thought it was like July or something. Did I?
No.
Did I make? Am I
making
like
July 17th? I think it said.
No, Metroid doesn't have a date.
Oh,
there's
okay.
No date
well,
Metroid.
Whatever. I was just like, I'm gonna try, and if I don't get one within like 20 minutes, I'll just I'll fuck off and go to bed. An hour and a half later, after like refreshing and getting 2 false positives, like it said thank you for making your purchase, and then I got an email immediately that said we've canceled your pre-order. From Target. I finally got one to stick, and I was like holding my breath for like 48 hours afterwards, waiting for another cancellation email, and it never came.
Yep.
So yeah, that was fun. I don't know how that like stacks up to like, I can't even remember what like pre-order situations were, or like the for like the PS5 or whatever. It seemed.
The PS5 was awful.
Yeah, I seem to remember that being
PS5
kind of. I mean,
was during COVID too. Like.
Yeah, and it's because everybody's in a like trying to like blow up the website because they're trying to beat like bots and shit from snatching them all up.
Yeah.
So and a lot of this stuff is like they have things in place to try to prevent bots from getting them, but that makes it harder for real people to get them too. So like it becomes this just like chaotic bullshit. But yeah, I think those of us here who wanted one, I think we got one. I think we're we're good. Between the four of us here, we have 4.
Yeah.
That's true.
Just two of them are in one person's possession at the moment.
There's a poll on Reset Era with like thousands of entries or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the poll was, where did you successfully pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2? And most of the choices are just the places, right? Best Buy, Target, Walmart, GameStop. And one of the options was didn't get one. And these are people who, and it's only 6%. So most people have been able to. Most people have been able to secure a Switch 2. People who
you know what? Maybe the most surprising thing was because we had a few people in our community who were like they were going to take their chances at GameStop, like at an actual physical location, the next morning, and it sounds like a lot of locations, anyways, were quite like maybe that was the way to go, like for the least amount of stress, because like I know. Well, I'm just saying, like. We had a few people in our Discord who were talking like we showed up, there was like 40 people in line, but they had like 80 Switches to pre-order.
But then you're waiting in line with 40 people, and that's nothing's more stressful than that.
But I still remember my days. But like when I worked at GameStop, I remember like when we were doing like because I worked GameStop for the Wii launch, right? So like we knew our numbers, and when people showed up and got in line, we were handing out like receipts and stuff that had a number on it and said like you have your place in line. So if you have this card or this receipt, you've got one. So at some point, even if I mean, I know
there's to do your pre-order and then it comes out and going to get your Switch in line with people. That's the tragic part of going to GameStop is having to experience GameStop.
That is true. Yeah, you can't deny that. But like, I was just really surprised to hear that like a lot of people who decided to show up at a GameStop, those people had maybe less of a stressful time than I did, with 3 tabs open and 3 different retailers and multiple false positives and the funny thing is I gave up at some point. At like 12:30, I was like, I'm giving up. Fuck this shit. Because I meant to go to bed like an hour ago. And I went and I got in bed and I pulled out my phone and I was like, I'm going to try one more time from my phone. And I pulled up Target and I was able to add one to my cart. And then within like 2 minutes, it went through because I saw that, I think it was Wario 64, or maybe it was, maybe someone else. I don't remember. But like, they were like, Target seems to be working now. Go, go, go. And I like clicked the link, hit it. And sure enough, it worked. It let me in and I secured one. And I was like, well, I certainly was not expecting that shit. But yeah, although there is talk now, I guess Nintendo is setting, and this is not a huge deal, but Nintendo's saying they don't know for sure if they can fill all the orders in the first week of launch that they got.
100%.
Yeah.
No, I think there were like some allocations of orders that were like launch week or launch month.
I mean, my order says first week of June or whatever that thing is, and that's fine. I don't really give a shit at this point. Like, whenever it comes, it comes. It's not going to be as painful like if there was a Zelda package with it, where I'm just going to be like frothing at the mouth, right? But we'll see what happens. Although I was really surprised.
Fuck Mario Kart is what we're saying. Or we want to play the instruction manual that they're charging $10 for.
I am genuinely shocked that they didn't raise the price of the hardware.
Or games.
They raised the price of all the accessories.
Yeah, that
isn't a controller like $80 or something? Like...
$85 now.
Well, I don't usually buy a lot of extra accessories at launch anyways, so I will. I'm luckily not going to have to deal with that much right out of the gate. But
your Switch 1 Pro controller works with the Switch 2.
That was a question I had. So you know that for sure?
Yes, Nintendo said so.
Fuck yes. Okay, cool. Then I'm.
It doesn't have.
It's not full functionality though.
Yeah, it doesn't have a camera button. Chris Davis is trying to tell us that he ordered 3 of the $85 Pro controllers.
No, I haven't ordered one yet, but
yet.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's things that are disabled that you can't do with this.
Trust me, homie, I wasn't gonna be pressing that camera button anyway.
No, it's like you can't power on the system with the Switch 1 Pro controller. You can with the second Switch Pro 2.
This
kind of bullshit.
Is trying to talk himself into a Switch 2 Pro controller. The Switch 2 Pro controller does have paddles. If you want like a real actual reason.
I'm a professional gamer. Like I need my
What the
professional
fuck?
controller.
They're my
Speaking
paddles.
How
of
many-
professional
well,
gamers,
Yeah. Well, none of us here, I don't think.
no, definitely not. Definitely not. But we have been playing games that we can talk about on this very podcast. And I think we want to start tonight with a game that I think most of us here are playing. I don't know if Crispy's playing it. I haven't really caught up with what
What?
Crispy's been.
It is on Game Pass.
We are going to talk about Clair Obscur Expedition 33, the fucking Chris Davis miracle of 2025.
Not a miracle.
Oh,
Predestined.
shut
No,
the fuck up, dude. Literally,
Dude,
nobody on the planet expected this kind of result
It
over
is.
What the fuck is
performance.
this game? Why is it getting such high scores?
Well, let me tell you,
Because
it's pretty
it's
good.
in-
Suck your
Well,
dick or something?
it's shocking. It is shocking, right? Because no
It is
one,
shocking.
because games don't, it's pretty rare any game scores that high, right? Much less a new game from a new studio that's
French, no
basically.
less.
It
I mean,
is, as of right now, it is the
it's
highest
pretty,
rated
right?
game of the year on OpenCritic.
It's
It's
pretty, right?
insane. It's insane. It's insane.
We talk about it. I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that it's really, really good. I'm not surprised that it scored what it did because people are graphics whores and they're nostalgia fucks. They're nostalgia babies, right? And that's what it's doing really well. It's reminding everyone of Final Fantasy like 10 and shit, and
Okay,
it's very,
look.
very pretty.
I do want to
get
say,
it.
look, you're making that you're gonna sit here, and I know you're gonna like jump on me about this, but like, let me tell you,
Jump on you.
I want to talk about it right now because it's on the screen and you just mentioned it. But like,
What?
what this game is doing with the overworld map is what I wish JRPGs would have kept doing after Final Fantasy IX. That that largely just
I mean, a
stopped.
traditional world map.
Yeah.
It's a traditional overworld map where it's like a diorama and you're running around and you can fight things on the map and then go into other locations. Like that was the era in which I was in love with Final Fantasy, and then it just kind of like I remember when I played Final Fantasy X and that was the first game in the series to like stop doing that.
Yeah.
And even though I love Final Fantasy X, I felt that piece was missing, and to see this game.
But that is
To
so
that.
specifically just nostalgia, right?
Yes,
Because
it is
it's
nostalgia.
not
It is
like
nostalgia.
it's not like the world map is like oh, this makes this game so much better, right? Or like more modern, right? It is
Well-
literally just a throwback style of doing RPGs. In reality, like the way video games should be is that the world map is just like the world is just enormous, right? And you have you have vehicles and stuff, but
Remember when we were talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake before it actually happened, and like everyone was like, "How are they going to do that? Because you can't make the world that big and that."
and they just fake it. They fake it a bunch.
And they fake it a bunch. And I don't think it was necessary. I mean, luckily it turned out pretty well, I think. But like, I just think about it like I don't know why the assumption is you have to go that direction when you could have pulled something off like this. And I think a Final Fantasy remake that handles the overworld map like this could have been just as fucking amazing and as trying to like make everything
but
like
it's still decidedly throwback, right? When you have games like Tears of the Kingdom or Xenoblade X, right, which do a people-sized, open world,
right.
instead of just
There's
doing
always
this sort of-
trade-offs though. There's always trade-offs. Almost always, right?
Yeah.
Like Xenoblade 2,
But I'm just saying, like this game is doing a lot of heavy lifting with nostalgia, but it's obviously doing a lot more than that. Like this game is definitely proving itself.
I'm going to be real here,
in ways I was not
gentlemen.
expecting.
I'm going to have to send out the email tomorrow because this is Game of the Year 2025. I'm sorry. I'm just putting it out there. All the other games coming out this year, I'm sorry. You had your chance. You were too late. Here it is.
A lot of them haven't had their chance, bro. It's fucking April.
You might be right. You're probably wrong because I think Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Blueprints might be better than this, but this is up there. I will say though, Chris Davis, this is you've played what, Lost Odyssey and now this? Like you might be right, but like you're not like the authority on like JRPGs or anything.
Oh, certainly, of course, yeah.
So, but like
Yeah.
you're not. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just so declaratively saying.
I mean,
I
Finally,
just
a
say this?
second
I'm just stating
JRPG
facts
worth
here.
playing.
You haven't played Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta yet.
This
Yeah, I
is
mean,
game.
there's a lot of-
This is
Ooh.
game of the year. This is gameplay of the year. This is story of the year. This is music of the year. Like every checkbox you could have for this fucking game is game of the year for me. It is
Keely
fucking
bait.
incredible.
Like all this stuff you're about to say like might be true, but the thing that about it that will actually win it a Game of the Year award is the narrative. It is
Okay.
that like people are blown away, they're surprised. The vibes around this thing are so positive and happy. It's selling well. It's blowing expectations out of the water. It's just like with like Astrobot last year. Like that's what's going to win it Game of the Year. It's that everyone
I do agree. I do agree
was
with that.
caught off guard and everyone's happy, and it's sales expectations, score expectations. It's shocking everybody, and that's what will win it a Game of the Year award, even if maybe it's not as good as Kingdom Come or Blueprints. But whatever,
So
it is.
to that point, can I interject for a second? Because I do have a very unique perspective on this, right? Because literally this past weekend, I finished Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which, as you know, for past few weeks or months at this point, I have been kind of like expressing like my deep rooted love for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I was like, it's going to be a really hard game to top my Game of the Year list. Like, it's going to be hard to beat for me this year.
I did say this will be the one to do it, if anything.
And I went
For you.
I saw the reviews, and I was like, okay, that's cool, but like I'm gonna roll right into this because it's on Game Pass, it's available to me. I'm gonna roll with it and see what happens. I was very skeptical.
What's this haircut you're using? You're such a little fuck boy.
But you're right, Chris. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say Chris Davis is right because you're right. I
Chris
don't think
Davis
Chris
did
Davis
not
is
develop this game. He just
I didn't
bid on it in Fantasy Critic, probably a
I
little
know.
earlier
No.
than most people
I'm not-
would, and it just a broken clock.
Listen, bitch. I'm just saying. You're right. It is a broken clock situation. I'm just saying, like the statements that he just made. I went into it saying I'm very skeptical that something is ever going to top Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I still think it's possible that it doesn't. But damn, I'm already a little like it could. It could. Like it's won me over that quickly, and the narrative like framing, the kind of like the mystery of it all at the very beginning, and like trying to kind of how it kind of like feeds you these things, and you kind of have to like figure out the context clues to kind of figure out what's happening in this world and what the story is, and then when you start to like pick up on that, like by the time you get to that point, you're like, okay, I'm invested in these characters. I'm invested in this mission. I'm in this expedition. I'm invested.
If you
in what's
are
going on
not
in this world.
invested at the end of the prologue, you are a soulless monster that needs to be put on a watch list.
All right, calm down, killer. Calm down, killer.
Yeah, relax.
It is a very good game. It is a very good narrative. It's a very powerful narrative. The acting, the writing, stellar.
How far are y'all though? Because it's getting a little anime. It's getting
I'm
a little like
I'm about five or 6 hours.
like they need to ease up a little. It gets out there pretty quick.
I mean, okay. I just finished Act 1 myself. I'm holding off until I have a lot of time to play it. But oh my fucking
I guess
God.
I'm more referring to the end of Act 1. Like it starts. I'm not saying it's like
I haven't gotten that far, so be careful.
Fucking emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, but it's like in a way that like it's getting like so anime that all of a sudden it's like reducing the stakes a little bit, even though you don't know what I'm talking about. We can't talk about it. But it's like the more out there like a story gets, the more like the less concerned you are about like the welfare of people, because obviously anything can happen in the world. It's all weird and wacky and timey-wimey, and all of a sudden who knows what can happen. Does that make sense? Like it's not it's getting, this was never a grounded story, but the less grounded it becomes, the more
I have a feeling there'll be a little bit of like a rubber band effect where like you start to kind of like feel the stakes kind of ease up because of that, and then by the end of it, it'll rein it back in. I'm just speculating here. I have a feeling it'll rein it back in enough.
I think that they do just amount of like variety in the narrative to like give you levity when you need it, and then they rubber band you back to like the grim reality of what's going on at the appropriate moments. I think they're giving you a lot of character development, which you appreciate the characters and you get invested in the mystery of their backgrounds and like what's really going on here. I feel like there's like probably 15 or 20 layers to this story that
That's what he's talking about, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's getting a little Xenoblade.
I don't think it's necessarily detrimental to the overall quality.
No, and like it is fun. So like, here's the talk about that. Like some of the talk surrounding this game is like, see, this is what we really want, you know. It's like finally a JRPG without the anime aesthetic, but like this game is still like an homage to classic JRPGs, and maybe it's like more French, but it's still like an anime as fuck. Like the outfits are anime, and the weapons are anime, and the premise and the story is anime. Like,
I mean,
it's just
literally
French.
one of the tougher types of enemies you fight is a mime. So
yes,
yeah, it's very French.
They play into it.
I got you kill the mimes and get their outfits, and now I have a character running around with like a baguette as a weapon or whatever on their back. And
but it's
let me
fun.
tell you, like wearing the silly outfits, and then all of a sudden you go into like this very like melodramatic story moment or whatever. It gets pretty goofy.
I mean, there's a level of self-conscious
somebody
that the developers are trying to explicitly say. When you start the game, it gives you the option settings, and one of them is to turn on custom costumes for each character in cinematics. And the caption says, not realistic, but fun.
Yeah.
Like, wait, by default it's on though, because
by default it's on.
In Discord today, people were talking about like, I think like the subtlety of like the facial capture and stuff is like top tier, like best in class. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. I don't know, because like in the most like emotional scene with one of my characters, like a subtle like moment between like two homies, she was wearing like a beret, sunglasses, and mime makeup, and I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm seeing all the subtle facial emotions here.
I'm tempted to turn it off because I'm tempted to turn that off just because I want to experience because like the fashion stuff is really cool, but like, I do want, but like I also
haircuts.
I don't want to be distracted in the cuts because the cutscenes and the story moments are really fucking good. Like holy shit. They're really good. But also, can I just say to that point about it getting really anime, as someone who is famously very like constantly kind of teased for like not being into actual anime, I am really getting a lot out of this so far, and I don't know what I don't know what you want to take from that necessarily, except to say like
don't give a shit.
I'm just saying
graphics whore.
No, god damn it! Stop throwing that fucking argument out.
It's
because
true
that's
though.
not
Like
what's
here's the
happening
thing.
here.
Here's the thing. You like your rebirth and you like your metaphor, but like the true problem with the anime aesthetic is more just that those games have shit budgets.
Dude, I'm not talking about the way it looks. Can you stop talking about that? I'm talking about like the approach to narrative, the approach to dialogue. Like there are things about anime that I don't really latch onto the way other people do in those departments. And you're talking about this game being very anime in nature, and I'm not getting that vibe. Not yet, anyways. So that's all I'm trying to say. I'm like 6 hours or so, wherever that puts me.
But like you'll get to the end of Act 1 and you'll kind of see maybe what I'm getting at. Like the story's getting a little crazy, like Xenoblade or whatever, you know? And that's more what I'm referring to.
But like I will say this as someone who has for a long I consider Final Fantasy X to be one of my favorite. Like it's one of my favorite games of all time. It's in there somewhere, and like early on, like this game, it's not. I mean, obviously it's not the same thing, but like if you think about like some of the stakes and the tension that was kind of present at the when you're starting to get into the main story of Final Fantasy X, like I would say there's some connective tissue between these two games in terms of like
I don't know if I see that. To
I mean,
me,
I'm talking about like there's this like world-ending threat basically, and people within the world go on these like and here they're referring to the expeditions, right? But in Final Fantasy X, they were like guiding a summoner across the world to try and stop sin. from destroying the world, and it's been this kind of like endless cycle situation, and like there's kind of a very similar situation going on here. It's a lot weirder here, I would say, but you know, if you liked that kind of story, which I loved, like this is definitely tapping into some of the same vibes.
I think I see the overlap you're saying here. I think the difference really is that when you play Final Fantasy X, it's a character being inserted into a world that does not know the loop and narrative of this new experience for him. In this, all these characters have based their entire lives around the gourmage and the countdown from the paintress. Like, you are you're not learning with the character, you're learning based on the world of the character. You are
gleaning, you are piecing together the world and the situation within the world based on what these characters do and say, because you have to kind of glean all these, like, you have to take context clues from what's going on around you, and that's an interesting way to world build, I would say. Okay,
what's with the man bun though?
Why are you judging my hair? I only have one alternate haircut, and I gave it to him because
is this guy played by Charlie Cox? Did I hear that?
No, he is voiced by Charlie Cox, but this motherfucker looks exactly like Robert Pattinson, and it is freaking me out.
He kind of looks like Robert Pattinson.
He does.
I'm gonna be honest. It is one of those situations where almost every cutscene, I'm like, you can't tell me you didn't like bring Robert Pattinson into a studio and do mocap on that motherfucker, and then
it's legally distinct Robert Pattinson.
Are you ready for my controversial take that's getting me all the boos? Boo, boo, Brad, boo.
Wait, hang on. Let me okay, go ahead.
You ready? I know you're going to disagree with me, Nick, and probably Chris Davis.
You hate Charlie Cox.
Well, I just think, what they went with the celeb casting, and I think it's giving a little Kiefer Sutherland. I think somebody who's like trained voice actor could have done a much better job. Yeah, I think it's kind of just okay, and he's surrounded by people who are much better at doing that.
Keefy was pretty bad.
He's very terrible. Understated, and he wasn't. I mean, y'all are a year from now, you're gonna look back and say, well, maybe if it was not Charlie Cox, it would have been a little bit. Look, when he delivers the line for those who come after, it should sound so much better than it does.
I like the delivery of that line.
I think
it's not good. You can stand this game, but like it is like a 6 to 7 out of 10 at best, and it could have been a 10 out of 10 if they just had someone who's better at this shit. They went.
I'll be honest, I did not even know that Charlie Cox was associated with this project. So
yeah,
I don't
doesn't
care.
It kind of explain why Gustav is a little like when everybody else is like running circles around him?
I think he's a fucking great character.
True.
He's got emotional writing to him and a character depth that I love.
And the character,
it's so
sure.
good.
But I'm saying his performance is a little
Okay, that's fine. I don't want to argue with you about whether or not Charlie Cox.
He's like, for those who come after. Like, come on, man. That line should hit hard you should feel that line every time. And he coughs it out.
They probably should have just brought Robert Pattinson in to do the voice because fuck. That's all I see.
Maybe they wanted Robert Pattinson, so they made the model, and they're like, please do our game. And they're like, no. So, like, Ben Starr, for example, plays a different character. Ben Starr is someone who could have, like, completely been up for that task because he's good at this shit. And we know because Ben Starr is good in everything that he's been in, right? Like, when they do the celeb casting, and they don't do performance capture, they're just voicing over the characters they did the performance capture with different actors. Maybe because they wanted to celeb cast this shit. But, like, I don't know, man. Charlie Cox his heart's not in. Like, I'm watching all the behind the scenes, like, docs and stuff, and it's Jennifer English and Ben Starr. And where the fuck is Charlie Cox? He's back in Hollywood sipping his fucking martinis because he don't give a shit about Expedition 33.
He's back in Hollywood working on Daredevil. Look,
exactly.
I completely refuse to agree with you on this, Brad.
Okay. You're refusing to agree with me, actually.
The entire first 15 minutes of the expedition itself and what you do in that and what happens with that character. Like, I understand why he's saying these fucking lines.
Plot-wise.
He sent off on this mission in the last year of his life to sacrifice himself for the to lay the path for the next generation. He is
You're explaining the plot, not the performance. It's a good character. It's a good
why
setup.
He's saying it
like,
that way. Like, he is a depressed character, so it's a depressed performance.
Depressed might be the word for it.
He's coming to terms with like the fact that he's about to die and he's being sacrificed by a society that he's not expected to survive.
Look, can we? I tend to be more in Chris Davis's camp here because it hasn't really been a problem for me, but that's fine.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's just something I observed because, fucking Jennifer English, of course, is fucking killing it. And everybody else is just dancing around that motherfucker. Even this isn't a spoiler, but Andy Serkis is in the game, and he is, he's the king of like performance acting, right? And he wasn't, like I saw in a featurette that he was surprised that they didn't have him do performance capture, but he probably would have been too expensive, right? But even him, he's been around the block. He can still voice act
if they had
the
done
fuck out of a role. But like,
if they had done performance capture,
a little muted, and not in like this fits the premise way.
Okay,
just
that's
in
fine. Your point is made. Your point is made. I don't entirely disagree. I don't entirely agree. But here's the thing.
It's not popular. I'm sorry.
If they had done motion capture with Andy Serkis, this would have been a full price game, right? They would have had to. This launched on Game Pass and it's $40, I believe, right? When you buy it outright on Steam. I could be wrong.
Okay, can I ask why even spend the money on Charlie Cox? 'Cause I don't think Charlie Cox is putting butts in seats. You know what I'm saying?
Can we stop? Can
Charlie
we
Cox
stop talking about
on?
We haven't said one thing about the combat in this game, which is like
talking about the fucking
it's
incredible
good.
soundtrack.
Okay,
well, there's not.
We gotta sing the fucking songs.
The soundtrack's incredible. Done.
Yeah. It's good. The music is really good. It's a little near coded, especially early on, but it gets
100%.
more variety happens as you go, and it's always pretty impressive.
Did you know that the CD release of the soundtrack, each disc is solely focused on one act, so you can switch out discs as you're progressing through the game to listen to completely fucking different music.
Did you buy the CD? Like the
I'm about to.
This motherfucker
is just reading press releases. But look. He's right though. Like there is a lot more to this game. The combat is really fun. It's very Mario and Luigi, where you're so like dodging and parrying and like you're doing things actively in combat constantly, and that stuff is really good. And it's fun. Like it's a fun deep combat system, and like there's
you
enough
have free aiming guns and.
The free aiming guns are cool, and like and importantly, all the progression, like backing it up, like the character progression and the differences between the characters, all that's really deep and good. And there's a lot of like meat on that bone if you're more like me and you want to spend a lot of time in menus tweaking that stuff, making god tier builds, and going into battle and really like feeling it, right? Like that stuff has been really good, and that's the kind of stuff that surprises me, right? Because I always knew this game was going to be pretty because I saw the trailers, and I knew the music was going to be great because I listened to the trailers. But like, you don't really know, like, but is it actually going to be like a deep game until you really start playing it? And I was surprised that there's a lot of stuff, like they kind of nailed that stuff as well. And I think that's why people are kind of blown away by it, because no matter why you play like RPGs, all that stuff seems to be here. Like it feels like a complete package.
Like if this is one, like I'm like I said, I'm about 6 hours into it, and like so far it's giving me vibes of like, okay, this could very well be a contender for Game of the Year for me, because like it's kind of blowing any expectations I had, and pretty much all aspects of the game completely out of the.
Like I'm finding new weapons that have like skills on them that completely like turns the way a character plays upside down, like completely. They're like, I can make an entirely new build and approach combat from this character like completely differently because of this new like skill I have on this weapon, this passive on this weapon, and that shit is cool.
And the characters flow into each other so well. Like Nick, have you gotten Mayo yet?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I love how each character is completely different from one another, and how they level up and how their skills progress and things like that. Even the fucking skill
different
trees are
attacks.
interesting. But
Yeah.
like my entire combat loop for Act 1 was all in service of using Mael as my tank and bruiser at the same time. Like I would use Gustav to fire off a few shots and mark enemies and then put defenseless on them. Then I use Luna to light them on fire. And then it comes to Mael's turn, and I will have her do an attack that sends her into a virtuous stance, and in that stance, she does 200% damage. And then on her follow up turn, I can have her stay in that stance and do a shit ton of damage because I had
She
this
takes
whole
a lot of damage.
loop. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
well, I mean, she can, but again,
I mean,
that also ties
her
into the
combat is
flexibility.
based.
That also ties into the flexibility of the defensive capabilities of your characters. Like you have the dodge, you have the parry, and then you have the jump, and you have the combinations thereof based on how enemies attack you. So you have so much flexibility, and it's the challenge in this game, at least on the normal difficulty. It is challenging, but it's not frustrating. Like I probably died like 7 or 8 times against various bosses. At no point have I been like, okay, I gotta cool off and go do something else for a while.
I mean, I do
jumped
hope
right back in and was just enjoying it and figure out the loop of the enemy, and just I love it so much.
I do want some pushback of it. Like I want the difficulty to ramp up slowly. I want to get to a point where I'm not necessarily like finishing boss fights every time on my first
part of
try.
that is that like you can stumble into areas or enemies or bosses that you're not ready for, and and you could die like super quick. You'll be getting one shot by like mini bosses and stuff. You'll be like, oh, I'm not ready for this. I'm going to come back. Or you could just really learn the parry and get through it that way. And and because parrying and dodging is like 100% damage mitigation, with enough attempts, you can get that timing down, and really scary enemies that will one shot you all of a sudden become, there's still that risk of things going really bad if you miss the timing on one of those, but it feels really good to pull it off. I mean, like the damage you do on a counter is huge, and you can even make builds that are designed around countering and whatnot.
I love that countering, like if you do like if you parry successfully, typically speaking, you're blocking the attack. But if you parry, and sometimes enemies will have like one attack will have multiple hits. But if you successfully perfect parry all of those hits, or if it's just one hit, if you just parry the one lone attack or whatever, like it triggers the counter attack, which is like usually this like awesome, like very satisfying sudden.
It's cool, but like, can I say that the counter might be too powerful? I usually just dodge.
Concern.
It's like, man, I put effort into these builds. I want my damage to come from my hard work, not like the overpowered counters. Damn it.
That's where I'm saying, like, I'm hoping eventually they start to like layer more difficulty on top of it, so that the counter ceases to feel overpowered. I don't know if it's going to do that, but I would just say the general loop of combat is incredibly satisfying.
Well, it's going to get harder. Like the patterns and stuff are make it harder to counter, and usually bosses and whatnot do have more challenging patterns.
I will say that as far as the patterns go, there is that flexibility with enemies in how they can change things up a little. Because as you've noticed as you're playing it, like, how when an enemy's about to strike, there's like a kind of a slow build out and the camera pulls in or pulls out, and you know exactly when to trigger your parry. In later encounters, they start to switch that up where maybe they'll strike a little bit faster, or the camera won't pan in or out, or things like that. Like
What does that mean?
It's
for me,
subtle.
It's been pretty consistent.
It's mostly consistent, but it starts to get a little
I think it's
suddenly harder to do.
I think it's based on enemy types
as they enemy attacks, but
Mr. Papa Shot in chat says that he's in Act 3 and it does get very tough. So
yeah,
I'm not super concerned about it.
And there's difficulty options.
Yes.
But the general loop of combat is incredibly satisfying, and as long as they start to continue to kind of like layer difficulty on top of it and it doesn't get too easy, like this game's gonna be fucking amazing. Like I'm so excited to get back into it. One of the other
surprising things is that the areas that you go into are like they're huge, and there's a lot of stuff to find in there.
The layered.
Like a lot of layered. There's a lot of a lot of the things you find in the world are like new weapons and new skills, like your little pictos or
Pictos?
whatever they call them.
Yeah.
I will say the UI is a little funky and it takes a while to get used to.
Yes.
To me, it's giving like God of War Ragnarok or something where it's like, what is going on here? And you eventually get it down through just like muscle memory, but it doesn't feel like well organized, especially like the way you, I mean, you like, honestly, but even trying to explain it is not worth it. Just know that at first I was like super confused and you just got to tank it. You just got to tank it for like a few hours and eventually it just becomes muscle memory and you get it down, but it's a little messy.
It's just different. It's inverted from what you think it should be. Like, just even on a color perspective, it is, because your selection color is black, but every other, you would think that like that would be
The lighter color.
Yeah, it'd be the lighter color, but it's not.
It's just a little off. It's a little funky. Like their UI guy just wasn't as good as like all the other guys or gals.
It was probably designed with keyboard and mouse in hand first, and this was just secondary concern.
You think so?
Yeah.
The other thing is like the areas are enormous, and I find myself getting turned around a lot, and there's no sort of indicator, there's no mini map, and I'm not usually the person who's saying like, give me some sort of arrow or whatever, but especially due to the nature of like backtracking, and there's only so many like fast travel points, and when you're in the middle of a huge dungeon or area, you can't just like teleport out of there. Like I'm someone who, as soon as they let me loose, I'm like, yo, I'm going to go back to that previous area and explore every inch of it, because there was some mini boss that I couldn't beat before.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, where the fuck is it? These levels are so fucking huge. You could spend hours walking around them, getting lost. And part of it is because you have no idea which way you're going. You really, it's weird though. Again, I'm not usually this person, but you can bring up a UI element that has like a compass or whatever. And I just wish like it pointed you in the direction of like a main objective, especially because when you're exploring, you kind of want to like do all the off beaten path stuff before you kind of do the main path stuff. Yeah. But when there's so many different paths, you don't know which one idea which way you're going. And then it's going to split here. And like, well, I'll go check down this way. And then it splits there. And like, oh shit, well, I guess I'm going to pick one of these. And I'm like, oh, well, now there's a cave and it splits again. And I think it just curved around to like one of those paths, but which path was that? Like it's all over the place.
They could
like, it gets intimidating. Like, I don't want to miss any like weapons or skills, because some of that stuff can be really like build defining, but it's easy to get lost and not in like, I don't know. I'm just,
there's one thing they could easily incorporate that would make it so much easier to navigate, is when you go to the flags and you enable fast travel, if instead of it just being the name of the location, like if there was like a picture reference for like where that is, so much easier to understand.
Yeah. Something, or like have a little mini map at least that only pops up for the fast travel screen. Something. Give us something.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, the consensus so far seems to be that the game is like really, really, really shockingly impressive, but it's not perfect. It's got some.
I mean, those are just nitpicks. I mean, like this thing goes down smooth.
Yes, very smooth. Sure. I cannot wait to get back into the story. I was I was actually really sad when I finished Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and then I was like, I guess I'll start a different game, but like I need something like the story. I'm sad that story's over, because that story in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is so good. And then I jumped into this and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. Yeah. This is pretty good. Thank God.
Honestly,
thank God I didn't follow this up with some trash story.
The only complaint I have so far about this game is that it doesn't have HDR. And like the environments that you encounter in this game.
He calls me the graphics hoe.
Look, I'm just saying this game is so fucking okay. 2 complaints: that there's no HDR, there's no photo mode. That's egregious in this case. But the environmental design and just the amount of color and character to the world, it's so vibrant that the fact that HDR is not there, it doesn't kill it, but it hurts.
That definitely doesn't kill it. I don't have an HDR monitor, and it's still beautiful. Like, I don't know what to say. It's still beautiful.
Yeah.
100% is. Like, the art direction
it's just a really
is
beautiful
insane
world
in this game.
Yes, it is.
My God.
It is. it's going. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be one of those games that sticks with you for a long time because of the world and the just
Visuals.
the visuals are elevated, but like the actual like thought that went into the world and kind of like the goal and how all those things kind of like mesh together, I think is just super well executed. And yeah,
I just don't understand the narrative. Like, I don't understand. Why is this game like, or why can't more developers do this? Or like, they should just make more RPGs like this one. And I'm like, look, the reason y'all don't play Japanese RPGs is because they have tiny budgets and they look like shit, right? Except you play Persona and Final Fantasy because those do look pretty, as opposed to like a fucking East game or a Trails game. So like, it's not surprising that another really pretty one and polished one that came around is like becoming really popular. Like, none of this is shocking.
but it's also like I don't think
looks
all
pretty and big budget and polished. Yes,
but not all
successful.
JRPGs are created equally. Like part of what hooked me, while this is a very beautiful game, like what hooked me on the game is everything to do with the writing and the story. And like I've played a lot, I've picked up and started playing a lot of JRPGs, some of which were really beautiful that lost me because the story just didn't connect.
But like
this connects.
What I'm saying is like you know what has a really good story, like Trails in the Sky, but it doesn't look like this.
I don't.
You know what I
doubt
mean?
you.
Like it doesn't look like this, and that's why it doesn't sell 1 million copies in a day. And like it's even like that in the indie space, right? Like Sea of Stars blows up because it's gorgeous.
But I don't think the fact that this is gorgeous is like the only reason this thing is doing really well. I think
reason, but I'm saying it's a key part of the reason something like this blows up because it's big budget and beautiful.
Sure, but there's lots of big budget, beautiful games that have terrible stories and unforgettable characters that just fizzle
like
out.
Metaphor and Rebirth. I mean, it's just...
Okay. What the fuck are you talking about? Metaphor has fantastic characters and a really cool story. Go to hell.
But I'm saying my point is y'all don't fucking know because you're not playing the ones that don't look gorgeous,
bro.
No, not just y'all, but I'm saying like this ain't like people are like I can't figure it out. What's going on with this one? And I'm like, you know what's going on. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about all of y'all. The formula ain't complicated, okay? The pretty game was successful.
Okay, we're gonna go back and forth here because I get okay. Let's move on.
Name a JRPG that you think sucks that's gorgeous.
Tales of Arise.
Tales of Arise was insanely successful.
You asked me for a game that I thought sucked that was beautiful.
Oh wait, you think Tales of Arise like? Well, I guess the consensus is not that it sucks, but. I mean, it's the best reviewed Tales game and the best selling Tales game.
Because you asked a question and I answered it. You asked the question, I answered it. You asked me to name a pretty game that I thought was bad. We are moving on, goddammit.
I was asking the people. But what I'm saying is like...
This is a podcast. The people can't answer you.
But you see what I'm saying, right?
Sure,
Tales of Arise, the pretty one, is the one that sold really well and scored really well. Or it's all just silly.
I'm gonna start beating my head against my desk. Let's move on.
I'm with you, right? I think Tales of Arise is like a lower tier Tales game, but it still sold better and scored better than all the others. Think about that.
Sure, but okay. Let's move on. We're gonna take a break. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, you always act surprised that video games are like a visual medium. Like,
I know.
That is a little. He's got a point, too.
I just want people to admit to themselves
that.
But like, what do you get out of that? Like, do you get some kind of satisfaction? Do you think you're better than us because we like games that are pretty?
Yeah,
like that's what it sounds like. That's what it comes across as.
Yeah,
but look, I'm there with you. I'm there with you though.
I feel like you pivot. You go back and forth. Like
no, like it's okay to be a graphics whore as long as you're not always a graphics whore.
Do you think I'm always a graphics whore?
I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm saying, and maybe I'm talking about you specifically. I'm saying like you gotta sometimes be nice to the ugly game. It's okay to really like a game because it's pretty. And
During the break,
I'm there with you. Like no one wants to fucking say that one of the reasons this Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is so amazing is because it's gorgeous to look at. Everyone's saying it. Everyone's saying that it's gorgeous, but no one wants to admit that that's the reason it's awesome. And it is a big reason it's awesome is that it's pretty.
I admit it. It's gorgeous.
No. Everyone admits that it's gorgeous. No one wants to admit.
God. No, I hate you so much.
Listen to the words that I said, because I just said them before you said what you said. Everyone believes that it's gorgeous.
This game is great because it's gorgeous.
Yes, there you go.
And
so if this game was uglier,
do the ands, but no one wants to say the line. No one wants to say what he said, and it's a big reason this game is awesome is that it's pretty.
Sure.
Say it. It's true. It's fucking true, and no one wants to say it. And that's why I'm always poking those fucking buttons, because it's not that I think I'm better than y'all. It's that y'all are like that, but don't want to admit it.
But you say that because the implication is that you're not like that.
No, I'm with you.
And shut the fuck up. We're moving on.
Just be honest.
I'm Brad. I'm always honest with you. Okay. Yeah. Even when
be honest with yourself before you can be honest.
Even when it's not in my best interest. All right, guys, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about Ender Magnolia, Bloom in the Mist, and I want to deliver some final thoughts on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 because I finished that game and some people were asking me about it, so I want to talk about that for a second. And of course, we will wrap up with the 4-player minute. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Yep, we're moving on. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Brad, we're going to go ahead and pass it over to you.
Whoa.
So you can talk about a game that you've been putting off for weeks.
Well, I haven't been putting off the game.
I know, talking about the game.
Because this is the kind of game that just gets bumped from the podcast by Nick at the last second, saying we don't have time to talk about your little indie bullshit.
Apologies.
No, it's just our podcasts are long, right? So, and I've been chipping away at this game since January when it came out, and because of that, it's not like a game I was like, well, I could just finish the game and then talk about it. But even then, I haven't finished it yet. But I've been playing Ender Magnolia, Bloom in the Mist, which is the sequel to Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Night. And another reason I've not been like champing at the bit to talk about it is because it is like a lot like the first game in some ways. We got footage of this?
Yeah, I'm playing it.
I'm just behind on my stream. But it is. Let me tell you. So, are you all familiar with Ender Lilies? This is a game
I actually tried Ender Lilies. I don't know. I didn't make it very far, and I don't remember how much we actually talked about it on the podcast itself.
Well,
I'm sure you played it.
I 100% of that game.
Okay.
And I liked it quite a bit. I don't know if it made my top 10 list that year, but it is a game I liked quite a bit. It is a Souls-like Metroidvania, one of those. It's a Hollow Knight-like. It's a Hollow Knight-like, and this is the follow-up to that Hollow Knight-like. But that's the thing. That's the reason I haven't been like, I got to get this on the podcast is because, like, if you've played Ender Lilies, you kind of know what this is. If you've played Hollow Knight, you know what this is.
Hollow Knight's like prestige. Are these like on the same level?
This doesn't. But like, what does have the prestige of like Hollow Knight? No, it's not on the same level as Hollow Knight. But like, literally, what does, right? Now, as far as like, if you're like, gonna say something that's not absurd, like, is this as good as Hollow Knight? Yeah, it is a tier down like everything else, but it is like a really good one of these. Like, it's a really well made, side-scrolling Souls-like Metroidvania. I think what stands out about it is, they're very nice-looking games, and they have gorgeous soundtracks that are, like, honestly probably, like, too beautiful for the type of game that it is. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like, it almost seems too extra for a game that looks like this. Not to say that like it's an ugly game or anything. It has a nice polished art style. I don't know how to say it, but they made another one of these, and a lot of what people are saying is like, oh, it's like the first one, but like everything is better, and it does feel like a
Not
much more like
uncommon.
polished take on that, but it's still largely a Metroidvania with a lot of like difficult boss fights. Like it can be a very challenging game, but not like the bosses are definitely like, oh, it's gonna take me like half a dozen to a dozen tries to get this boss fight down, but maybe not even that much, right? Like it feels fair. Like it always feels like you're getting close, you just get clipped one too many
Mm.
times, and it's like fuck, right? And the moment to moment as you're exploring the world is definitely the kind of thing where like it's hard because the game punishes you because it's using like an Estus flask style healing system, right? And enemies, they do a lot of damage. So if you're playing sloppy, you're gonna, in the end, the game's gonna get you, right. It's gonna wear you down. You're gonna be out of healing items, and you're gonna take a hit, and you're gonna die, and you're like, fuck. So like it can be pretty like challenging that way. But there's a lot of like nice quality of life in there too to make it a little smoother. Like you can literally fast travel to any save point at any time you want by going to the map, which is nice. Usually in this type of game, you don't really get that sort of freedom. You're like backtracking or whatever to kind of get to a certain place. And when you die, you're not really losing. You have to fight your way back to where you were, but it's not like you're doing a corpse run. It's not like you lost materials or experience or anything. Like the map is still uncovered. So like you'll eventually get through it by chipping away at it, but you got to play clean. This goes for the
Mhm.
boss fights. This goes for like exploration and stuff. And like the combat's really good. Like it's one of the things that I think stood out about the first one, and it stands out here. It's like sometimes in these games, it's like there's certain aspects of it that are like, okay, well, like in like the first Ori, for example. It's like, oh, it's beautiful and I really love the platforming, but like the combat is just kind of like right? This game feels like it's not like S tier in any one thing, but it's like A tier in everything. And I think that's what makes like these Ender games, Ender the Ender series, like pretty
Like
good.
a
Like
the
it's a
Zone of
nice like
Enders?
comfy game to like if you have a Steam Deck or a Switch. This is like the perfect kind of game just
Tell
to
me
chip
about the
away at.
wolf. You appear to be riding a wolf.
Wolf and Owl.
Well, it's just a like a navigational like upgrade you get at some point. Like it gets you around a little quicker. It can break through certain barriers. It can actually like run through like weaker enemies. Like you
And
get
it
a lot
looks
of
cool.
like really good upgrades. The game is a lot like the first game, like where a lot of the drive to explore the whole world is that you clear rooms kind of like in you do on a Resident Evil style map, where like the room changes color when you've got everything in it, which is like
Mhm.
just a really classic powerful motivation for finding everything in an area, right? Is, oh, the map
Right.
changes color and now I don't have to worry about it anymore. And that still feels good when that happens here, of course, because it always does, classic Resident Evil style. But yeah, it's just a really well done one of these, and like you get good parries, and I will say a lot of the like the progression systems is a little bit different in the first one. In the first one, it was kind of like like the Egavanias where all your abilities are like kind of like the souls of enemies, right?
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and like you find like little mini mid boss versions of like kind of the main set of enemies, and like once you defeat them you like get their soul kind of, and that's like your ability. The first one was very like centered around like those builds by like equipping this soul, this soul, this soul, and this soul, and that's kind of like your build. But each of those kind of had ammos depending on like how powerful they were or like the mechanic behind them, and you can like increase level that up and increase the amount you could carry, and that style of progression felt really good because you felt not only did you have a lot of freedom in the way you like built out your character, but as you start to get more of those each of those things, like that sort of progression was just very rewarding. Here you're unlocking like different variations of your core set of abilities by taking out certain bosses, and it's just a little bit different. No longer is it like an ammunition sort of thing. Like everything is either just like you have like a summon bird that can do a variety of different types of attacks, and you're more just kind of swapping them out depending on the situation. Usually in boss fights, right? Where well, this boss,
How many are there?
this
Like, are there
loadout would be
lots to
really
choose
good.
from?
Well, so like there's like for each different type of attack, like you have a swipe, you have like a summon, you have a like a gun type of ability, you have a like like there's probably like a dozen different types of attack, and each one of those has like 3 different variations, and then you can level up those individually. And then kind of creating your build at any time you want at a save point is usually what you're doing before like a boss fight. Like if like there's a tricky boss fight, like oh let me swap
Right.
my stuff around and see if like this type of loadout is really good at like breaking the enemy. That gives me openings, right? Like instead of doing raw damage, it does like break damage that depletes that secondary meter that'll stun the enemy, so I can just kind of wail on them. Like I can use the slower hammer because this boss ain't that fast, and it would be perfect for this. So like you're kind of tweaking it more for that versus like exploration. But like some of those abilities are cool. Like you get a lot of different equipment. This is the stuff that I kind of wasn't expecting. Like they're introducing new skills through like equipment and stuff. And it's the same kind of stuff that was in the first game, just the way they lay it out and dish it out to the player is different. And that stuff's neat. Like I'm getting an amulet. Like I got an amulet that lets me parry projectiles at any time I want. I just press the right trigger, and I kind of parry that projectile, which not only like absorbs the projectile, but I do like an attack, like a big attack in retaliation. And you see me do it a few times here where I'll parry a projectile and it'll send like bullets back at the enemy, like seeking style. And it's not that powerful, but like I can swap out that amulet, and then it becomes like a big burst around me that does a lot more damage. And again, for certain fights or bosses, like that can be really powerful depending on if you're like
All
really
about
good at
picking
parrying
the
and
right
stuff.
picking the right ones for the right situation.
Yeah. But like, and again, everything it's doing is like good, just not best in class, right? Like it's not Hollow Knight, right? It's just it's extremely well made and polished, and it feels really well balanced and refined. This is a game like the first one, I think maybe was in early access for a year before it hit 1.0, which for this style of game, which is just a single player Souls like Metroidvania. Probably not a game that needs to be in early access, but because of that, when it did finally come out, it just leads to like it's just a really polished, well made one of these, which is why these games like this game I picked up in Fantasy Critic because I knew that if you do this kind of game really well, it's gonna score well because it's that genre that scores really well.
What
It's
did
just
it land on in Fantasy Critic? I can't even
I think
remember.
it's at an 85. And the first one was like
Damn.
an 85. So
It's a safe genre, bro.
it's a safe genre, yeah. And and the secret is that it's Japanese developed, so it's like it's dodging taxes. I don't want to admit that part, but that's
Tax
my
evasion.
tax
Tax
evasion,
evasion.
baby. That's how you win
It's
Fantasy
an
Critic. You
offshore tax
Why have
haven.
we not been
tax
calling this tax
evasion is how
evasion?
you win Fantasy Critic.
Tax evasion and insider trading.
Well, insider
I'm
trading,
reporting you to
that's
the
the
IRS
I'm gonna take
tomorrow.
the Edison method and just start sending thugs to your guys' house. Like, make the
Wait,
trade.
you're the one doing the insider trading, Crispy. We'll get to that in a second.
Am I risking something naming this episode the Tax Evasion Show?
No,
Evasion.
go for it.
No,
Man.
what? Yeah, the IRS listens to our podcast.
Yeah,
You never know.
Japanese devs don't get taxed.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but yeah,
Sounds like
how you win the game.
Okay, cool. Sounds pretty dope.
Okay.
You know what?
But like I'm saying, like if this is a year where like Silksong's actually coming out and fucking Hades 2 and Mina the
You said
Howler
if.
and Slay the Spire 2,
You
like
said
all
if.
these. There's some titans of indie royalty potentially coming out. It's not like this would not be the first one to jump on necessarily, but if you have a handheld and you're like, I don't know what to play, like this is a good candidate. It goes down smooth.
I definitely don't have that issue at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you didn't like the first one that much, I don't know if you're.
Well, it's not that I didn't like it.
But some people, I've seen the reviews, Steam reviews and stuff that have said that, like, oh, I didn't really vibe with the first one, but I'm liking this one a lot more. There's like more characters to like talk to and shit in this one, I guess. I don't know. I don't really understand all that, anyways. People the story and stuff. Come on, grow up.
Read a book.
What
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Right.
It's like, oh, my video game story.
Hey, yeah, you're such.
Right?
You're
Like
such,
every time I was watching a cutscene in Final Fantasy Tactics, I was like, boring. Get back to the fights.
Well, if they were all that good, then we would all pay attention.
You're such a bitch sometimes. All right. Speaking of good stories, I just wanted to I wanted to revisit because I mentioned earlier I finished Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 over the past
Wow.
weekend.
Rolled credits.
I rolled credits, and what credits they were,
Did
man.
Did you bang Sir Hans?
No, I did not.
Oh.
I did not.
So did you really play Kingdom Come?
Yeah,
I mean, that seems to be a sentiment I've seen several places.
but like, why, Nick? You gotta,
why?
you gotta ask yourself why.
I'm not gonna answer the question because you're just gonna frame it and make it sound like I'm homophobic or something, and that is not.
Why? Is there something you're about to say that sounds homophobic?
Did you pick the big booby lady instead, Nicholas?
No, I picked Rosa.
I didn't even know there were women in this game.
They're in.
I had a lovely relationship forming with Rosa, in a really cool, unexpected way, I might add, because like there's a few different characters you can romance in the game, but like the way you go about it and the way it kind of like introduces, it's not just a matter of like talk to this person and it gives you a dialogue option that's like pick this one if you want to like trigger a romance, whatever. It's not really like that. Like I had this conversation. I was doing a mission for her father, and then I kind of like wandered over to her and started talking to her, and just kind of like in the course of our conversation, she mentioned something about her favorite book, but she had lost it because her castle had been raided or whatever, and she had to leave it behind, and she would love to someday get it back or whatever. So later on, I'm sneaking back. I'm doing a mission where I'm sneaking back into that castle, and I remembered that conversation, and I was like, I bet I could find that book. And I went and I found the book, and I brought it back to her like a couple hours later, and suddenly it's opening all these new dialogue options, and I was like, oh my god.
The words you're saying right now are like, I decided to romance a random NPC who gave me a side quest instead
But like,
of
no,
fucking
like
Hans.
it doesn't give you a side quest. It's just a thing she says in conversation that like you could gloss over really quickly. You may not ever even remember to go and do it. It's not like it's like putting a marker on a map. It's just like she mentions there's this book and it's in this place.
No, I get you. The side quests are good in this game, but
it's very good. It's
Hans
very organic.
You and Hans is the greatest bromance of all time, man.
I honestly can't stand Hans.
But like charmingly so, right? Like he's like, oh,
you can't
this dude
stand
is like,
him, and you just want to kiss him on the mouth to make
he's
him
a classist piece of shit. I can fix him.
He is a classist piece of shit, and he's like constantly like
I bet he's never even read Marx.
The number of times that we were doing, there was like this like mission happening, like something terrible is happening, and like we've got to do this, like this is our only option, and he was like, I can't do that, I'm in the nobility, I'm above that, and then he like throws the wrench in the whole fucking plan, and then we have to like change the plan around him. Oh god, it was just so obnoxious. I was just like, he kind of annoyed me. I mean, like, I think he's a great character. He's a great character, like the way he's written, and I mean, I love him as a character, but man, I just
you can share your life with.
Not one that I could share my life with. I'm afraid not,
Nick, and that was you. That was you.
maybe
straightening out.
Maybe so.
So you're finally over your gambling addiction. I'm proud of you.
I managed to get past my gambling addiction after a while. I mean, eventually you get to a point where like gambling is not even the best way to make money. Like it's all about alchemy and selling potions and that hunting and stuff like that. Like so, like you eventually get to a point where like playing dice is fun and all, but it's like the return on investment is not all that great.
Rush anymore.
Yeah. Oh man,
it was
like
so close to being like an important life lesson there, and then you ruined it.
It's so
gambling isn't the way to earn money in life. It's alchemy instead.
Yes. Yeah. And man, alchemy is so cool in this fucking game. I like the amount of. I would love to see like the hour count, like the amount of hours I spent in this game just at the alchemy table, like brewing potions and shit, was probably pretty significant. Um,
Can I ask you something?
yeah.
You know, we don't need to spend all day on this, right? We've talked
No.
plenty
I
about
no.
this
I
game,
just
but
said
like, how did this? You know, like this could have been hour one of you playing the game, right?
What do you mean?
What am I looking at here? I'm saying like
I recorded this like a week and a half ago.
yeah, but a week and a half ago you were still 90 hours into this fucking game, right? Or whatever.
What is your question?
I guess what I'm saying is like, what does the game look like late in the game? Like you were saying, like, oh, this game's like one of my faves of all time, and I believe that. I really do. But like,
it's a fucking goat.
What is? Give me a few of those reasons why before we move on, because I'm not going to see it from like looking at this footage because this just looks like the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 I played, which I don't know how much I played, but
sure. I mean, one thing I will say, or a couple things I'll say, like Can you vamp for just a second, Brad? My headphones just turned off.
Yeah. Well, I was just getting at he's just sort of wandering around the forest, which is what I did, you know, when I played the game.
You're not wrong.
What do you think?
Months ago.
Do you think later on in the game he finds like an ancient elven city or something, and it's like really
well,
cool?
is it you're just getting a lot of like really great major story moments and minor story moments, side quest moments that are just really sticking with you? Because I mean, I think that's why The Witcher is like as impressive as it is. It's just like endless, like amazing little stories as you go through that game. And this is sort of what I'm saying is like you were high on this game kind of like after a certain point, and it just sort of like leveled off. Like it's just stayed consistently great, or did you have highs and lows? Did you have standout moments where there are like certain set pieces or quest lines that really stuck with you? Like what is the juice here in the end?
I'll say a couple ways to answer that question. One, I do think it is consistently great. I don't like. Everyone loves to talk about, like Red Dead Redemption. There's the lull in the middle when you go to Mexico, right? And like, I don't think this has a Mexico, right? This has this story pretty much is consistently fantastic, and the side quests that you're constantly running into are consistently fantastic. I can't remember a single side quest that I did where I was like, well, that one feels like maybe a B tier side quest, or like maybe that one wasn't nearly as well written or designed as these other ones that I've done. Like it's the level of detail, the level of just dedication to writing and coming up with new crazy kind of like objectives and scenarios is just chef's kiss.
Like, is there cool systemic stuff that like still surprises like towards the end, or do you feel like you kind of figured it out? Like
you do eventually kind of. I think gameplay kind of levels off at a certain point, because for me the progression was, holy shit, this combat system feels almost I got overwhelming, and I don't know if I can do it. By the end of it, I was like blocking and parrying and dodging and doing these like sick ass counters and master striking like a crazy person, and like that like ramping up and like learning and like really getting into that system is like super satisfying and super rewarding. But it eventually kind of levels up.
The game is funny too.
Dude, oh my god! Just real quick, like, because I know somebody in Discord was asking me, they were like, I would love to hear more like kind of actual like examples of things that are great about like great moments in this game or whatever. And just as one that kind of like stuck with me really well, like you eventually run into this guy who's like who's part of this like bandit group, and he's got a fucking arrow stuck in his head. Like someone shot him in the head, it didn't kill him, and of course nobody knows how to get it out of his head, so it literally healed up in his head. And everybody in his group started thinking he's like the most, like he's like this like miracle, a god, right? So they treat him like, oh my god, it's amazing. And then you do these missions, and eventually he ends up dying. And then
spoilers.
So someone else in the group you run into like down the road later, they're like, I need to get my hands on that arrow, because the arrow was like a good luck charm, and like if you can give me that arrow, I'll have that power. whatever. And yeah, I was like, okay. So you have to go in this whole quest to kind of like figure out what happened to his body, where he was buried, and like get that arrow back. And then you take it to him, and the guy's like, all right, thank you.
Shove it in my
And
head.
shoot me in the head. And you're like, what? And you're like, he's like, yeah, I need you to shoot me in the head. And I'm like, well, and you have the option of like, I'm not gonna do this, and like walk away. But I was like, of course I'm gonna fucking do this. This is hilarious. And I pull up a bow, I knock up the arrow, and I shoot this motherfucker in the head, and he dies instantly. And that's the end of the fucking quest. And then I yank the arrow out of his head afterwards, like I loot it off of his body. And for the rest of the game, I have this like piece of this arrow in my inventory, and it just says "arrow from dude's head" or whatever. And it says like "lucky arrow from dude's head," and I'm like, what? I never really figured it out. Does it actually do anything? Did it give me a buff? I don't fucking know. But I was like, I'm never taking it out of my inventory, like just in case. And I will say this: I did start to feel like my luck was improving, like when I was like trying to like haggle with people, and I don't know if it had anything to do with the arrow, but like I like to tell myself it did. So like just shit like that. Yeah, the placebo. Like I don't know, man. Like the game has so many moments like that, and on top of that, like the actual like core narrative of the game is just consistently amazing. There's like a whole mission
Are you so
near the end of
impressed with this that you would consider going back to the first?
I mean, the first one wasn't nearly as well received, right? Like, it's kind of like I feel like this is a situation like Witcher 1 to Witcher 3 situation, maybe.
No.
It's not that.
Not that sort
It's not?
of jump.
No,
Maybe like a Witcher 2
is
to Witcher
good.
3.
Like,
Yeah,
one
like it's the
is-
same type of game.
Yeah.
I mean, I would consider it. I mean, but like it just feels kind of like I would have to imagine no matter what I do, it's going to kind of feel like a step backwards. But I mean, if the story and the
if you're in
narrative
it
is
for
just
like
as good,
story stuff, right?
yeah. I mean, like I imagine
Henry
would
doesn't know how to read at the start of the game,
Yeah.
so you have to learn how to read.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yes, I
See
would
how he
absolutely.
meets Hans.
It's a direct sequel, so like there's a lot of
Yeah.
story that you'd get out of
His
that.
parents,
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I would definitely consider doing it. I mean, this is
It's on
pretty
Game
fucking
Pass.
incredible.
It launched in kind of a rough
It's-
state, and
It's got to be in our Steam library, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to have it, right?
Yeah, I have it. The thing is, like, it launched in a rough state, but like those aren't really issues anymore. So
Yeah.
and it wasn't like so long ago. It might not be as big of a downgrade as you think. It definitely ain't Witcher 3 versus Witcher 1. That's for
Okay.
fucking sure.
I genuinely wasn't sure. I will just say like if you're looking for like a game, like I was just like I can't believe the level of like not only just the amount of really good story in this, but like the quality of it consistently across the board is fucking incredible. There's a mission at the end of this game where you're basically infiltrating like you're basically kidnapped, like you're standing in for the Pope. And you're like having to pretend to be the like basically this is representative for the Pope. Yeah, it is, and like I spent like an hour in this room having these conversations trying to like pick dialogue that made people believe that I was who I said I was, and it was stressful as hell. But it was like I was like, oh my god, this is so good. It's so fucking good. And like, yeah, I don't know. I'll say less. It's just, man, fucking love this game. This is a goat for me. Absolutely. Anyways, okay. Crazy. All right. Crispy, has there been anything that you've... I know you didn't bring any footage or anything you've been playing that you want to get off your chest?
Since last we've talked, I have played.
I saw something pop up in my Steam.
I played the
other day.
marathon closed alpha. Played the marathon closed alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And I also just kind of on a whim started playing Warframe.
That's weird.
Because
You seem like Warframe coded, honestly.
Are you playing with friends?
no, I haven't been.
You know,
I've only
Austin
been going
Walker.
through like story stuff, and I'm still fairly early, but you know, I'm a few hours into that. Marathon is probably a discussion. Marathon is probably a talk.
That sounds like a big talk.
It's a pretty big talk. I think part of the thing is that uh, and they were very upfront about this. The marathon alpha is not like it doesn't even have like all the textures and stuff in it yet, like lighting and like game
Yeah.
textures.
Weird.
And it is a very like pared down UI. It's a very like they're just kind of testing like the gunplay and like the loop of a round and like the different things that you can do in a match, right?
Right.
And it is I will say it's frustrating to play alone. I'm not. I don't have anybody that I'm playing with, and I've been doing randos, and then I did a couple where I just like solo queued, and it was like you get flashes of greatness, but it's one of those games where it's like this could be a really fucking cool game. This could be a really awesome game that develops a really like dedicated fan base, but it feels like it needs so much like charitability, and it needs so much like patience
Yeah.
that trying to make it the next big like Sony Studios multiplayer thing
It's a big ask.
is
Yeah.
maybe a big ask, right? Like
Yeah.
like it's
The most
I-
common
I-
adjective I've heard to describe this game is clunky.
well, so like the gameplay feels excellent. Like the sort of like the Bungie gunplay and like running around using your abilities, jumping, parkouring, like all that stuff feels awesome. Feels really cool. That definitely has like the Bungie sauce. The sort of like you know I've never played another extraction shooter, so I don't know how this really stacks up. I will say that like they give you a pretty big map. They put like only 6 3-man teams on one of them. I think the other one maybe has 8 teams. But one of them is like 6 teams, and then there's a bunch of NPCs. The NPCs are good. They're very like Halo Destiny kind of NPCs where they're wily, they have tactics, they're aggressive, they can like down you pretty easily, like
Yeah.
they're dangerous. But like I just playing the couple hours that I did, I hardly like interacted with other teams, you know? Like I think I maybe got into like one or two really good gunfights with other players, and that
Mhm.
was about it. And then the rest of the time was just kind of me like playing against the game, playing against like the NPCs, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't like everything that they're setting up seems to be a game that requires evolution. Like a game that's like, stick with this season to season, see how the story evolves, see how the mechanics evolve, and like enough people are just kind of like, oh, this thing's dead on arrival, that like, dude, I don't know, man. Like that's going to be rough.
Yeah.
And I think it might still score well. Like I think it might still score pretty well when it comes out. So for Fantasy Critic, like whatever, As far as
Actual staying
we've been
power.
talking for like 3 years now about how like Marathon might be like Bungie's like last chance, that Marathon might be like a pretty bad blow for Bungie if it fails. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm a little nervous. Like, I'm a little nervous.
When is that supposed? Like, when is it supposed to actually
September.
go into September?
September. 5 months. Which that I think is the big thing that's like, ooh, I don't know, right?
I mean, like the whole point of these are these closed alphas, right? Just for like fine tuning and stuff. And we've seen games.
Fine tuning, but they're also taking a lot of feedback. Like they're taking
Yeah.
this isn't like when Dark Souls does like a server test and yeah, maybe they're kind of testing server capacity, but the game's done and like the game is like kind of just or the test is like an advertisement for buying the game.
Yeah.
This feels a little more like final stage, like an actual alpha, final stage of development kind of thing, you know? Because they're making like next week they're patching out a like one of the things with the gunplay was that like even on mouse and keyboard it has reticle magnetism, where like it'll pull your reticle towards enemies, and there's like a stat that kind of like affects that, and they're switching it off next week after a bunch of people were like, this is crazy, like this doesn't feel good. So like they're making pretty big changes, and I will say, like, when you look at footage, like anything that's like an artificial texture, like the people or like the buildings, all that stuff seems done. Like the natural environment does not, like does not seem like it has the final textures on it. So the game looks kind of like muted and dull. So like it doesn't look as good as like, you know, like even like Destiny 2, like locations, and like look at stuff from like look at environments from the final shape, and those are incredible. This is not up to that level yet, and I'm sure that's intentional because they're very much just trying to do like a gameplay thing, and then like also they're kind of dripping in like the long-term progression mechanics, like your contracts and shit like that.
Yeah.
But even that seems really pared down, and I, you know, God, I want this game to be good. I want it. I want Bungie to succeed. I want them to keep making Destiny 2, you know? It is like, this is a nail biter. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And the fact that like a lot of people, you know, are just, you know, whether for legitimate reasons or not, are kind of being negative about the game.
Yeah.
Doesn't, you know, fill me with confidence.
Right.
Like, this is a game that needs, you know, like, remember when Marvel Rivals came out? It just kind of like grabbed that social media attention. People were like, whoa, this is crazy. And like a bunch of Overwatch people were like, this is like playing Overwatch in 2016. This is cool, you know?
Yeah.
It hasn't struck a nerve yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of need to.
Except for like the art style. Some people are like really into the art style. I love it.
I think it looks cool. I think the art style's
sick as hell. And I mean, yeah, but yeah, it feels like it hasn't struck a nerve yet, you know?
Yeah.
You hear about,
hopefully that moment comes.
Did you hear about Gundam and Overwatch?
Oh, did I hear about it? Are you kidding
me?
Yeah. Hell yeah, I did. Gundam Wing for the 30th anniversary.
Yeah. Fucking 30th year.
Shit. God.
I think maybe like Bungie's weird, right? Because they always want to do these big like self-contained media events for like introducing their new thing, and I think maybe doing that with Marathon might have like bit them in the ass a little bit, you know? I don't know because like they're kind of like ready to be like, here it is, take a look at it, but they want the pomp and circumstance of like an hour of just kind of like massaging the whole thing,
right?
And I don't know.
I mean, as part of like the media blitz that they did for ahead of this, they got a famous director to do a short about Marathon.
And that shit's so good. And that's like the one thing that everybody was like, that was the cool part of the presentation was the short that they did. And even the short, like, so like the short is like getting into stuff about like, you know, like Marathon lore, like they have like an old kind of counterpart to the Covenant called the Four, which is like a bunch of aliens, right? And that's kind of like a big part of Marathon is fighting these Covenant that don't exist in the Marathon game that we have, but they're in that trailer, right? So that's one of those things where like, is the story going to evolve to where we've, you know, those guys come into play again? Like imagine playing a Halo game and you're just fighting, you know, humans
the flood constantly.
Yeah, it's like if they made a Halo game about the fucking the colonist uprisings, and it's just like, okay, I don't know. I want to fight Covenant, right? I want to fight aliens and weird shit.
Give me the aliens.
Yeah. We'll see.
I mean, I look at it.
It could be Sony. It could be Sony. Like Bognoy says, it could be Sony really like putting the spurs to them to get it out this year.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's not the best move. Like I don't know. It should
I
really
don't know.
only come out if it's ready, because like we've seen what happens when these things hit and they're not
don't know.
ready.
But yeah, especially with some of the rumors that happened today in the news. So
Mm.
So, yeah, that's Marathon.
All right. Well,
But maybe I'll talk about it when we get a little closer and I have footage.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, we're approaching 11 o'clock, so why don't we go ahead and start wrapping up with the 4-player minute?
I guess
Brad,
my 4-player minute can be fantasy critic talk.
sure, go for it. Book it.
There's been some revelations, right? A couple of things have come out. The big one is the theft that happened
Theft.
weeks ago.
It was up for sale.
It was up for sale. Okay, here's the thing. This was so as y'all may or may not know, I play in the Fantasy Critic Discord Super League, which are like, you know, people who the sickos congregate. There's a lot of strict rules, and the leagues are filled. I mean, they're very large leagues with very large rosters, and everything's private bidding, and you're not allowed remakes. You're not allowed, you know, early access. Like, you're very limited, and you're playing with a lot of people with very big rosters, right? I believe it's like on draft night, we had to pick up like 72 games total on just draft night. And like, because
Not
my division
each.
has, and there's multiple divisions, and my division has, yeah, no, not each, but like
Okay.
on draft night, there were 72 games drafted.
Okay. I was like, what the fuck?
Anyways, the thing is, all the divisions, all 6 divisions in the Super League, they all draft, and it's not like a live draft. It's like a, you know, it's a, you draft and then it goes to the next person. They're just, people are drafting through the site, right? But their spots are kind of showing what everything's picked up. But the thing that I noticed, because this is the first time I played in this league, is that everyone just starts sniping each other's stuff, stealing each other's stuff, right? Because they're everybody's drafting it like different. It takes like a few days to get through a draft, and everyone can see everybody in everybody else's division drafting shit. All this to say, like, I was like, yo, boom, Star Vaders, motherfucker. This was a draft night game for me, and none of the other divisions had it. No one was even like had this shit on their radar. This was a bona fide Brad pick. I did the legwork to get the developer to admit that it was launching 1.0 and it wouldn't be early access, because let me tell you, a roguelike deck builder is like textbook, or like this game launches in early access first. I got him to admit it's coming this year and it wasn't going to be early. Anyways, I did all the legwork. This was my fucking baby. Crispy stole that shit. And 3 other of our community leagues ended up drafting it.
I paid
Motherfuckers
cash
that
American for
never
it.
even heard of this fucking game. I did the legwork, and these motherfucking, and this shit happened in Super League too. All these other divisions, they saw that I drafted it. They started bidding on it as well. These motherfuckers didn't even know what it was. Anyways, it came out. It's an 87.
To be honest, I love to see it.
This motherfucker though, this motherfucker. Now I was so annoyed. Because this is one I had been eyeing for a long time. And it was something I picked up on draft night in Super League in January. And I wanted it for this league, but I thought I was going to be able to slide under the radar, and it was either not going to be picked up by anybody, which I've done with a few releases this year. Like, I don't have enough money to grab them, but I don't have to introduce it into public bidding. You know, I could just let it go, right? And this is one that I was hoping just maybe no one would pick up. But it did, and it's like an 87, and I think it actually has potential to go up. You know, the 5 out of 5 sites are going to pop up, and it's a well-liked, like, people played the demo and were like saying like, oh, this is one to watch. Like, all the Slay the Spire like players were like, oh, this is good. Local Thunk the creator Balatro was like, yo, this one seems legit. So I knew this one has some sauce, even though it's not like as like visually exciting as like Balatro. It was never going to be a Balatro. Nothing is ever going to be a Balatro at this point. But it's a very respectable score. I had it as an 85 plus potential. So glad to see it's doing that well, except it's not on my roster. It's on Crispy's roster, and fuck that motherfucker.
I think I speak for all of us when I say congratulations, Crispy.
He stole Karen from me too. And y'all will see when Karen comes out, but that's also going to be a 85 pluser.
Brad's over here playing Moneyball, and I'm over here playing Banana Ball.
Fucking Ricky Henderson over here. That's a baseball MLB joke.
Oh, thanks.
Ricky Henderson. Got it? Y'all got it, chat?
I don't get
Ricky
it.
Henderson over here.
Johnny Bench.
I can't tell if you're talking about me because my last name's Henderson, or if you're still talking about Crispy.
No, Ricky Henderson. He's like lead all-time base stealer, whatever. Chat's on strike.
Gotcha.
Chat's on
Gotcha.
strike.
All right, Crispy, your response?
My response is, fucking get good, you stupid poor.
Oh,
When
I have $2 left, so I'm very poor.
yeah, what's funny is Brad was scrubbing messages in the other Discord to prevent things like this from happening.
Well,
But he missed one.
I'm a little too chatty about my picks.
But he missed one.
I'm too chatty? No.
Well, we have like private channels for like specifically Super League, but I talk about it in all the channels over there, so it's yeah.
Also, another one of my games finally launched, but it didn't do as well.
Skin Deep.
Yeah, Skin Deep, the Blendo games.
It did okay. This has potential to go up as well, I think. I wouldn't worry too much about
does.
it.
What's it sitting at?
There's very few reviews.
Right now it's at 78, I believe.
There's very few reviews.
Kind of ridiculous to me.
Just wait till the British sites put out their reviews. They'll love it.
Yeah.
A lot of physical humor,
Oh, yeah.
Eurogamer 5 out of 5. I can see it now. Or wait, no, they did 4 out of 5 actually.
Those fuckers. They fucked me though.
No, that's
Some
good.
guy named Giovanni fucked me.
No. It's early. It's early.
Give me a 3 out of 5. What are you talking about? We'll see. But
I'm very excited to play that game too. There's like a lot of cool games coming out.
This is I'm only just now getting games coming out. Like the only game I've had launched this year before Skin Deep was Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So my whole list is still like upcoming. So watch out. I'm going to fucking fall on you from a terrible height.
I'm still playing a long game and just waiting until everybody runs out of money.
By November, you're going to think there's 10 of me. You know what I'm saying?
You, Carlos, and Nolan have not picked up a single game. Not only is my roster full, all of my games but 2 of them have already come out.
I thought about bidding this week when Chris Davis bid on Unbeatable.
Unbreakable.
But
Unbeatable.
Unbeatable.
Yeah,
Unbeatable.
I opted. I was like, that does look cool.
Nah, you
But
were smart to dodge that one. That's a Chris
dodged-
Davis L. I wouldn't have picked it up honestly, but whatever. I'm not gonna
Everything
counter
I've
it.
read about it and all the impressions from the 3 demos they've done in like the past 3 years has been very positive.
You've had your one miracle for the year, Chris
It doesn't
Davis.
have a date though. It doesn't this doesn't have a date.
2025, hey?
I mean, there's still a lot of 2025 left. All right.
Yes.
Crispy, anything else you want to say for your 4-player minute, or are you?
No, I'm good. Oh,
Okay.
no, the rehearsal.
No.
I watched episode 2 of the rehearsal.
Oh,
So
I haven't watched
good.
episode 2 yet. I haven't
It's
watched
so good. That
Can I
show's
say-
incredible.
I might not be emotionally prepared to watch this show. That first episode for me was actually really intense. And I was like, this is like if this, there's a lot of ways this could go, but like there's like a certain moral responsibility he has now not to like make it about something else. I
Dude,
feel like it's
just-
a little.
Yeah, oh my god, he goes on a tangent about a Nathan For You episode, and
Yeah.
it's so good. Oh god.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. It's a lot.
It's so good. It is art. It is maybe one of
It
the
is.
best things on television.
Like, were those actual transcripts from crashed planes they were reading?
Dude, I think so. Like
That's intense, dude.
NTSB, like
That's
yeah,
intense.
like
People die.
dude, just wait. Just fucking wait. Oh, he kills somebody in episode 2. No, that's not true.
Jesus Christ! All right, Chris Davis, your turn has come.
Yeah. My hype right now is just getting to play more in Expedition 33. I'm in love with this game. I don't give a shit about Fantasy Critic with this game. This almost feels like the Lost Odyssey sequel I've kind of wanted. That's a whole other conversation. I did want to talk about a little bit of news that happened today that might be related to Fantasy Critic. Borderlands 4 got pushed forward by a couple weeks.
It
Not
did.
my fantasy critic.
They're so
no
they're
link I'm
so,
in. That's not,
like, oh yeah, we're ready. We're so ready. We're gonna launch early.
Yeah. They're so ready.
What are they
they're
trying
ready-
to get out of the way of? Are they trying to get out of the way of Ghosts of Tsushima or Ghosts of Yotai?
No,
That's
they're
early
the
October.
publisher's other major big game that's launching this fall.
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, you saying they have some insight or knowledge about GTA?
I mean, that is
that
the
what you're
strategic
suggesting?
move. Yeah.
I mean, that's possible. It's possible.
That's
Anything
the beginning of
possible?
that fiscal quarter. You get out of the way by a month, give them a few weeks to get some sales. GTA comes out, it rolls the bank for the rest of the year, and then
And then everything else dies on the vine.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if this, y'all are fucked. Y'all are absolutely fucked.
I mean, not as
Who-
fast as Crispy if that comes out.
Who was it that counterpicked it? Was that Crispy?
Yeah. Who's
Yeah.
to say that GTA 6 is even?
But I can
good?
still super drop it.
You could.
You might make
save
sure
your
you
$40
save some-
bucks.
Save
But
that
yeah,
40 bucks.
You
Just
should
like,
wait till June
well,
29th because I
Yeah,
think
but
we'll know.
say, he has to hold on to it. He has to get rid of it before June, end
You
of
don't
June.
need to rush it.
So hopefully we know something soon. Anything else, Chris Davis? Any other thoughts there? Or?
Not really.
No?
I just
All right.
I wish this podcast would end and I didn't have to go to work tomorrow so I could play just more 33.
Well, I'll give you what you want. I'm keeping my 4-player minute pretty short because.
Also,
of
fuck you,
course-
fandom, for what you're doing the giant bomb. Fuck you.
Oh yeah.
Pieces of shit.
What are they doing? Is this the PG-13 thing?
Well, they also laid off one of the guys.
Who'd they lay off?
Nikki.
But he was not. Was he actually? He didn't actually work there.
Well, he was more at GameSpot, but like, yeah, he got laid off. And who knows if Giant Bomb will exist next week? So,
I mean, I feel like this is like the third time that's happened to Giant.
They've been merging anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking sucks. Anyways, where was I? My 4-player minute. Gonna keep it short. This is pretty predictable for me. But today we got our first teaser trailer for Dexter Resurrection.
Whoa.
July 11th, baby. It's premiering on July 11th. The 2-episode premiere. That's pretty fucking exciting. Oh my god, that's like 2 months away. Oh, I'm living my best life. And yeah, that's.
Did you watch that trailer for that Zach Kreger movie?
What? What do you do? Listen to this
Weapons?
podcast. Oh, Malia told me to watch that, but she
Dude,
also said maybe I can't
it
watch
looked-
it.
It looks
Wait.
so good.
What is it called? What is it called? What's it called?
Weapons?
Weapons? I have not, but I will check that out.
It looks so good. That movie's gonna
Cool.
be crazy.
Cool. And yeah, that's I'm gonna
episode 2 of Last of Us.
episode 3. You mean?
No,
Oh,
episode 2.
well, episode 2. Yeah, I guess that has transpired since the last time we recorded. Wonderful episode. Fucking amazing. I did go back on the Fantasy Files podcast to talk about The Last of Us, like I did the last season. So we spent a couple hours talking with The Last of Us this past week.
You should get caught up on The Last of Us if you haven't. If you're a gameplay, well, I mean, at this point, you've either watched the show or you played the game. But I think certain things that people thought they were going to save for later in the season.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it continues to be pretty damn fucking good. Guys, we're gonna keep it short this week. I'm wrapping it up. Gotta go to bed. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Brad, Crispy, both thank you guys for being here, despite both of you being maybe not feeling the best today. Much appreciated. Your dedication is. I mean, thank you, Chris Davis. You're always dedicated too.
We're in
but,
Love the
you're
game.
welcome.
Yep. In the meantime, everybody, we'll of course be on Discord at discord.gg/4player. We'd love to have you there, and you can find all of our episodes on 4playernetwork.com. But in the meantime, be good to each other, play video games, and good night.